In a world obsessed with the digital, the clean, the green, there is still one dirty secret holding it all together. Oil. Not just a fuel, but the gravity beneath globalization. Not just a commodity, but a code. Welcome to FluxFolio Finance. Before you imagine a future of solar panels and synthetic biology, let's return to the black river flowing beneath everything we've built. The bloodstream of the modern economy. The oil that powers the dream. Let's begin where people usually stop, at the gas station. The pump, the price per gallon, the dashboard ding when your tank is low. But that's just the surface. Oil doesn't begin at the pump, and it certainly doesn't end there. It begins in the sediment of empires. In contracts inked in blood and beryl. In shipping lanes patrolled by warships. In interest rate decisions whispered inside central banks. Oil is everywhere, because everything depends on motion. And oil moves the world. Each day, the world consumes more than 100 million barrels of crude. That's 15 billion liters. Enough to fill 6,000 Olympic pools every 24 hours. Why? Because every corner of modern life is soaked in oil's utility. From the diesel that drives 90% of global freight, to the jet fuel that keeps humanity airborne. From the petrochemicals in your shampoo, to the polymers in your smartphone. From fertilizer to pharmaceuticals, toys to textiles, oil doesn't just fuel life. It forms it. Even the green revolution bows to crude. The mining trucks that extract lithium and cobalt? Diesel. The wind turbine blades? Resin and plastic, oil-derived. Solar panels? Manufactured with heat, chemicals, and supply chains that rely on fossil movement. We imagine progress as clean, but it rides a carbon scaffold. And when oil prices move, that entire scaffold trembles. Because oil isn't just physical. It's financial. It's priced in dollars. It drives trade imbalances. It shapes inflation expectations. And it determines political legitimacy across dozens of capital cities. When Brent crude passes $80, developing economies sweat. At $90, central banks pause. At $100, revolutions whisper. Just ask Venezuela. Or Egypt. Or the Eurozone during 2008. But let's not pretend it's only over there. The US, despite being the world's largest oil producer, is still deeply bound to the commodity it thought it could outgrow. Its economy is addicted to affordable energy. Its inflation expectations are tied to gasoline. Its elections pivot on pennies at the pump. Every president has learned this the hard way. You can talk tech. You can subsidize solar. But if gas hits $5, your approval rating hits the floor. Because oil is emotional. It's visible. It's the price of permission in modern governance. And while we dream of breaking free, demand keeps climbing. Post-COVID, global oil consumption rebounded to record highs. Developing nations are industrializing fast, just as the West once did. Millions in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America are buying their first car, building their first roads, powering their first factories. Each new kilowatt-hour is a vote for growth. And oil, still, is the currency of that vote. Yet paradoxically, we are underinvesting in oil infrastructure. Exploration budgets have fallen. New discoveries are rare. And political pressure has turned oil executives into reluctant caretakers of a dying empire. Except the empire isn't dying. It's thriving, in silence. And without new supply, prices will rise. And when prices rise, history accelerates. Oil is not just the past. It is the bottleneck of the future. The problem isn't that oil is running out. The problem is that cheap oil, easy oil, politically safe oil, that's what's disappearing. And in its place? Instability, volatility, fragility. Look at where oil is now concentrated. Russia, Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, Nigeria, the Gulf monarchies. Places bound not by freedom of markets, but by the calculus of risk. If even one of these choke points, Hormuz, Bab el-Mandeb, the Turkish Straits, closes, the entire global supply chain convulses. And it doesn't take closure. It just takes fear. A rumor. A missile. A proxy war. And suddenly, Brent crude jumps 10%, and inflation data flips like a coin in the wind. That's the paradox. The world's most traded commodity is also its most fragile. There is no real substitute, not yet. Electric trucks are years from scale. Hydrogen is an experiment. Even nuclear, for all its promise, doesn't fly planes or fertilize wheat. Oil isn't optional. It's inevitable. Which is why oil is not just energy, it's diplomacy. Think of the US-Saudi relationship. It's not a marriage. It's a hostage negotiation with luxury hotels and oil fields. One side demands security, the other, stability. The petrodollar flows in between. Russia and Europe, until 2022. Europe bought peace through pipelines. Russia bought influence with natural gas. The moment that relationship cracked, so did the illusion of cheap, peaceful globalization. The truth is, energy is power. Not metaphorically. Literally. A nation's foreign policy begins at its energy mix. China knows this. It's why it's buying oil in yuan. It's why it's stockpiling reserves like a wartime economy. It's why it has built the Belt and Road, to secure fuel, ports, passageways. The future is multipolar. But oil is still central. Even in America, the shale revolution was a financial miracle, but not a permanent one. Much of that boom was built on cheap credit and high tolerance for negative cash flow. Now that discipline has returned, growth has slowed. The Permian Basin isn't bottomless. And environmental pressure narrows its path forward. So what happens next? As supply tightens and demand lingers, we may see the return of oil as a geopolitical weapon. Export quotas. Sanctions. Nationalizations. Pipeline sabotage. We may also see oil-linked inflation return not as a shock, but as a base case. Imagine a world where oil stabilizes at $110. Where freight, plastics, and fertilizers bake in permanent premiums. Where monetary policy is no longer just about rates, but about securing tanker access. Where defense budgets expand not for ideology, but for infrastructure. This isn't hypothetical. It's happening. Just ask India, building strategic petroleum reserves. Or Germany, reconsidering coal. Or Argentina, praying Vaca Muerta saves its fiscal credibility. Every nation is adjusting. Every investor should too. Because oil is not just the past of economics. It is its shadow. And as the world moves toward uncertainty, conflict, climate, fragmentation, that shadow grows longer. Yes, the energy transition is real. Yes, we must decarbonize. But no, we cannot afford to ignore the terrain we still walk on. And that terrain? Is slick with crude. Oil does not scream for attention anymore. It doesn't need to. It is quiet. Dense. Essential. You don't notice it until it's gone. Then, you notice everything. Thank you for watching FluxFolio Finance. If this video opened your eyes to the machinery beneath markets, give it a like. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think oil's power is fading, or simply hiding in plain sight? And subscribe to stay updated on the truths that never go out of style. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and never forget what keeps the wheels turning.